again, these are things that can be analyzed when you know the kind of gun that was used at the crime. Okay, so that is more about handguns. Now, getting back to the long guns, the rifles and the shotguns, there are some major differences. Rifles are called rifles because they have a rifled barrel. They have spiral grooves inside the barrel where the bullet spins, as mentioned before. See, this is a handgun, but the rifle also has a long barrel, and you have these grooves in it that make it spin so that the rifled bullets, they go straight. Shotguns are entirely different device. This is the way a shotgun bullet looks. It does not look like these other bullets that we mentioned with the gunpowder and the single, let's say, lead bullet that shoots out. That's not what shotguns have. Shotgun shells, they're not necessarily called bullets. Shotgun shells, they do have the same primer, let's say, which has to get struck by a firing pin. Then they do have gunpowder all over here, very true. And they have over here, they call it the wad. It's a cluster of balls. Now, they don't have to be balls. They can be all kinds of things, but they often they're, let's say, lead balls. That's a cluster of them, a whole lot of them. So that when the gun, again, the primer reacts, ignites the gunpowder, which explodes and sends all these balls flying out. And they, in this case, there's a shotgun. They fly out of this barrel. Now, they don't just fly out in all different directions, unless you have a sawed-off shotgun. The idea behind a sawed-off shotgun is, first of all, you don't have this really long thing. It weighs less. It's less unwieldy. But and not only that, sometimes let's say you're confronted with 2 or 3 people right in front of your face. You want something to spray lots of deadly balls all over the place right in front of you. You want to have like a whole kind of like an artillery attack for the people in front, for whoever antagonists are in front of you. So we're not, but that's like a sawed-off shotgun where it stops here and the shot just spreads out like this. But most shotguns, the way they are, the way they're made, certainly, they have a long barrel so that the shot shoots straight through the barrel till the end. And it does spread out a little bit over here, but a lot less. And the different gauges spread a little bit differently. Like a 12 gauge, I think, spreads more than a 10 gauge. We can talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, that's the way a shotgun works. Remember, there's a shell in here, and the gunpowder inside the shell explodes, sending several, like hundreds of, again, depending on the shotgun shell used, let's say 100 shells, blasting out here. But yeah, there's hundreds of them through the barrel and out of the other end. And so back in the day, nowadays they're all manufactured, but back in the day, you don't have to put remember, there's an explosion here. Whatever's in here is going to blast all the way out. So you don't have to use only pellets. And the pellets don't have to be clean either. You can put poison on them. Back in the day, again, back in the days of the Old West, they would put some interesting stuff in there. Shards of glass to shatter and blast away whatever flesh they had, to cut it away. These things would embed themselves in the enemy, but the glass over there would shred the flesh and shred the skin. Together with that, they would put some lye, which is sodium hydroxide. It's a caustic. It burns away flesh, so that when the glass or the pellets would shred the flesh, the lye would poison and basically eat away at whatever remained. This was extremely painful, as you can imagine. They also put rusted sharp pieces of iron here, not just balls. So that would again cause a little more shredding and more damage. They were rather creative, as we might know. As the saying goes, man's imagination for war and murder has always been very extensive. So anyway, that's just a little bit of side information about shotgun shells and how the shotgun shoots out its bullets, or its pellets, not necessarily a bullet. Shotguns can be double-barreled, sometimes because it takes one shot. I mean, taking a look at this, It might have room. Again, shells are bigger than bullets in general. So you might have you put in one shell, you shoot. I mean, you use this pump action to like move the shell into the right place and to eject any unused, any spent shell, and you fire it. But that was really all you had. So you had to reload it. You had to put the shell back in. You might want to unfold it and put that, unfold it here, and you put in the other shell. If so, you only have one shot, which is, people want to have more than that. So they had something that double-barreled shotguns, where you can put two shells in there, and they were actually two triggers, one for one side and one for the other. Or if you were felt the need, you can blast both at the same time, and that really gave you a really powerful death-dealing device. And you can also imagine they also had double-barreled sawed-off shotguns. As I said, that was like real artillery. You can, there are 2 or 3 people spread out in front of you. You can, get rid of them all with a double-barreled sawed-off shotgun. You can't aim it very well, but it was made for spreading out the death. Anyway, so something like that there were single shots for shotguns, because the shells are like that. They're bigger than guns, and your gun might not have held, your shotgun might not have held more than one shot. So rifles are generally not single shot. You have to feed the bullets in. Rifles, they have magazines that they hold a lot more bullets. So if you have single shots where you have to reload every time, that's more often for shotguns. There was also semi-automatic. These generally are not for shotguns, though I think they do have it, but generally not. That means whenever you pull the trigger, I'm getting ahead of myself. The automatics are not generally for shotguns, although they do have it. They do have automatic. What that means, as opposed to semi-automatic, is that an automatic one is that whenever you pull the trigger, you keep shooting out. So you pull the trigger, let's say for the rifle, you pull the trigger once, the bullet comes out. You pull it again, then the bullet comes out. If it's automatic, by the way, here is where you'd put your ammunition clip. You'd slide it in there. You pull the trigger once, if it's automatic, and it'll keep feeding bullets in there. It'll blast many, many, many times for every one pull of the trigger. This kind of rifle has this little switch here. I believe that's the safety. I think it also enables it to switch between semi-automatic mode and automatic mode. I think that's what this switch is for. In any event, that's the difference between semi-automatic and automatic. Shotguns are pretty much not automatic, except, they might have them, but I think that's mostly for military use. One thing I did not mention about the shotgun shell is that also the whatever it is, the bullets. By the way, when you shoot the bullet, again, the striker hits the primer, gunpowder ignites, blasts us away. What happens to this cartridge? That gets ejected and lands on the ground usually, unless you want to catch it or unless you want to. But anyway, this thing is often left behind because that's just part of that. It's not needed to kill. That just needs to hold everything together. Once the bullet gets sent off, this thing is ejected and can be found at the crime scene sometimes. When it comes to the shotgun, it's the same thing with the shells. Once you blast away all these pellets, you're left with this like usually plastic container that is empty and is often left behind, and that can be used as evidence. Okay, here's again a picture of the shotgun and the rifle. Here's the shotgun, and here's the rifle that we're talking about. So, as mentioned, it's called a rifle because it's got